I mean, Chris, if you are implementing a new procurement system into your organization, what are the risks that you actually bring in as you're implementing that system?
And what do you exactly mean when system? Do you mean the organization?
You're changing the organizational structure, you're bringing in a new system. Are you creating risks within that organization during the implementation?
If not done properly, you can indeed add risks to it. I'll give you an example. If, for example, you're putting a procurement function in and the rest of the business relies on that procurement function to fulfill the demand, meaning tracking the orders, making sure that the elements come in. If that procurement function is not properly doing that, you could actually have the risk of a serious supply issue happening, for example. Also, when procurement, when being introduced, is overselling itself, meaning they're overselling themselves in terms of what they can achieve, how they can actually get all the operations under control, are risks. So, you know, a big bang implementation is not likely, or often not the best solution. You have to do that gradually, by category, by region, by country, while managing those sorts of risks.
And that would reduce those risks.
Yeah, and I think it helps reduce risk, but I think to the point about change management and the cultural organization culture change, I think if you start building the procurement capability in a small way, focused on a particular category where there is a security of supply or a total cost of ownership challenge, and you manage to allow that procurement organization to be successful, earn some stripes, both the procurement professionals in the organization win the respect of the rest of the organization, but also the business folk in the organization understand the benefits and the value that procurement can bring in. So, you know, I think it starts small. It doesn't only reduce your risk, but it also allows you time to build credibility and also to obviously to effectively manage the change management, so to speak.
Can I just add to that? And that's exactly right. You know, to be able to show the executive that the procurement team can perform, they need to show results. And it's only once you can market yourself with those results that you'll be able to bring in some more spend management to get further results. The bigger the spend, the more savings. And it's very important for procurement professionals, procurement CPOs, chief procurement officers, to measure, monitor and report the value that they're bringing to the companies so that the business can see what they are actually doing.
Just to add on that, I think it is important that procurement systems function very well. In South African context, we find that there's an over budget, that people have spent the money without even knowing it. So if the systems are properly functioning, one can monitor if there's variation orders, because key to fraud is when you don't know what you are spending on. It's when the spend is not visible. But the minute the spend is visible company-wide, we're able to say, why are you spending the money in this area instead of this area? So it's important that procurement system works properly.
I think it's a very good point. You know, we talk about procurement, we often talk about sourcing, securing supply. So we go through and we put a fantastic contract in with a superb partner that we're very happy to collaborate with or partner with going forward. But nobody knows that that contract exists because we don't have it loaded onto a system. And all of the order tracking and placing of orders, there's no compliance to the usage of that contract. And so I think there is definitely a role for the technology system to help enforce the compliance to the really good sourcing agreements that you do put in place.
Well, Chris, we've just come through a very tough period economically around the globe. Do you think this was an opportunity for high-performance procurement masters to renegotiate prices with their suppliers, get the best possible price while commodity prices were down?
Yes. Let me be very clear. Absolutely, it's been fantastic times for procurement because they were able to shine and got tremendous results demonstrated to the C-level and to the rest of the company. That being said, I do recognize two types of companies. I recognize the companies that actually are more riding the volatility. So they are very aggressive, they have short-term relationships, and then they ride the downturn easily. But of course, they'll ride the upturn as well. And you then have other companies that actually have more established long-term relationships. Their pricing, their total cost is lower during the period of upturn, but it's also higher, of course, during the period of a downturn. But it's more consistent result. And all of that depends on the culture and the strategy of the company, how they would like to go. And for both models, you can say that it's, you know, it can be a good model. However, what we have seen in the last recession that we're now going through is that if your procurement function is not operating well, then you're not even having one of the two models. Then you live surprise to surprise every day. It means your revenues go down, your fixed costs stay the same, you ride commodity volatility like you've never done before, and actually your results, your P&L, as well as balance sheet results are out of control. I worked with one company that to a point had to really stop paying their suppliers to get their cash balance back in order. And that's what not having a good procurement function can actually do to a company. And we've seen that happen, especially during today's recession. Well,
of course, we are coming up for recovery, we hope. Haley, is it too late to put that system in place so you can benefit once we start recovering?
No, I think to Chris's point, I think that it's never too late to build a good, strong procurement capability within an organisation with the right people and the systems and obviously the change management, the culture and respect for that procurement capability. We don't know what the future economy is going to look like. We talk about it being a new reality or a new normal. But there's always time to set up a new procurement capability and take advantage of that new normal or that new economy.
I'm afraid we're out of time. We have to leave the discussion there today. But thanks all very much for joining us. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of this episode of Africa's Boardroom. Thanks again to all of my guests. They were independent supply chain consultant Tabelo Pecci, Chris Timmermans from Accenture Global, Haley Walters from Accenture South Africa, and Andrew Hillman from the Commerce Edge Academy. From the team and I, it's goodbye.